Hello everyone and thank you for joining me. Today I am gonna attempt to draw with this dragon fountain pen coming from Jinhao. Had it for a while in my collection, never really used it. I actually have two more. One similar with this one and the other one has like a snake design to it with a cobra on top. That thing actually fell off without even using it. Easy to glue, but I never got around to. Maybe one day I will look at that one as well. Has a lot of interesting details on it. It kind of reminds me a lot of the pewter figurines that you can buy on eBay, for example. Same ideas with dragons and balls and other things. And yeah, this one has like a spinning ball at the top, which is actually plastic most probably. At best, probably it's acrylic, but feels very light for what it is. I'm not 100% sure. These claws can actually open up if you want to remove it, but then you will look maybe weird and empty. Or you could actually replace it with an actual jewel if you want to. And you have some, I assume glass, not necessarily jewels, but they want to pass as jewels. Eyes on the dragon. I don't know what it says on the cap. I tried to translate it with Google Translator, but because it's rounded, it doesn't recognize the characters. It does says Jinhao on it, no model number. If I remember correctly, it was a king dragon or something like that. Very heavy pen. I think this is one of my heaviest pens, if not the heaviest. Twist cap. Short section. I got it with a fine nib. Number 5, not number 6. Looks maybe a little bit smaller on this pen. However, I think that if you would have had a number 6, that would have made the cap longer. And maybe heavier. Pretty good balance in hand. I like it. Feels nice. It does post. Twist out at the end. Brings a little bit of weight at the top, but it's not that bad. And I think it would be quite fun for drawing. Grip seems pretty fine. If you don't like heavy pens, this probably is not for you. If you have smaller hands, probably unposted, it's better. Still, fairly heavy. Comes with a converter. Works nice, works smooth. Oh yeah, balance. Not bad. And it's definitely top heavy. Well, just gonna put a dent on my table. Not bad. Let me ink it up, do a writing test, and then we'll jump into a drawing. For ink, today I decided to go with a new ink that I got from Octopus. The Elephant Black. I was actually curious how it's going to work and how waterproof it is. I did some testing with a water brush on a separate piece of paper, and to my surprise, seems to be fairly good when it comes to water resistance. I wasn't even able to smudge it even a little bit. I did left it for like a day to dry out properly before trying it. I was planning to use the water brush during the drawing as well, but the way the drawing turned out made me not want to do that because I was afraid to not ruin it. Anyway, before the drawing, writing sample, everything worked out pretty good, not a lot of issues. I think this ink is more on the drier, quote-unquote side. There were some skippings when I was doing the flourishing quickly. But other than that, it seems to work just fine. One thing that I did, my schedule has changed a little bit, so I'm not able to do everything at once anymore, and now I do kind of the intro and then the writing sample, and then I wait for another day until I start doing the drawing. Which I guess is kind of good. It gives me a chance to test and see if either the ink or the fountain pen works okay after you let it sit for a while. And in this case, I don't know if it's a combination of the cap not sealing properly, but also the ink being maybe more dry since it's an waterproof ink. What happened basically, I had issues with the startup, and I had to work on the pen a little bit until I got the flow properly through the nib. That in combination with the cotton paper that I'm using that tends to dry nibs more than regular paper, and I had a little bit of a challenge, but at the same time I kind of enjoyed it because it gave me the opportunity to slowly build up layers and work on the details. So in a way, the nib performed exactly how I would like it. A little bit on the drier side, giving me the chance to slowly build up the details and the values of the drawing. I like the ink, I really do like it, and and I keep on saying this, but I keep on coming back to this paper because I like it. I want to try it on a different sketchbook or in a different sketchbook that I have. Speaking of, I did end up getting Bristol paper, so soon I'm gonna be planning to try and go back to the deep nibs, untipped deep nibs, and see if I get better results on that paper. Getting back to the fountain pen, a chunky little thing, to be honest. For the writing part, I had no issues with the writing because I was holding it from the section, but as I was doing the drawing a day later and I holding it from higher up as I usually do, that dragon pattern that you have on the barrel can be a little bit annoying after long periods of time, especially because of the weight that you hold it. So as I hold the pen, usually the weight of the pen sits on my middle finger, and depending on how I was holding it, and the pattern that was sitting on my finger, things could be a little bit painful after a while. The drawing took me about close to 2 hours with a small break in between. After a while I had to find a different way to hold the pen, so this way I don't have or basically trying to find a way around the pain. So I don't know, mixed feelings I guess. For writing, not an issue I think, especially if you hold it from lower down the barrel or basically on the actual section, even though the section is very short. The threads, I didn't find them to be a problem if you hold it from the threads. The only trouble was the actual pattern, since the grooves tend to be a little bit deeper than at the base of the barrel. Ink, love the ink. Like I said, felt a little bit more on the drier side of things, and I think that maybe the cap doesn't seal very well, and that's one of the issues why I had a hard startup after a day of sitting. And what else? For writing, I think I'm okay with it being unposted. Drawing 100% needs to be posted. For the details, I guess it will be okay unposted, but for my style of drawing, when I do the loose lines, not really well suited. The drawing in itself turned out actually very interesting. As usual, I love the details that I do and the patterns that I get out of it and how the creature slowly evolves into what it is. When I started, I wasn't sure exactly what I'm going to end up with. I thought I'm going to end up with some maybe mountains, the way things started, and a little bit jaggedy. And as I was going higher up, then I realized that maybe I have place for an eye, which I quickly put it in there and I started build around it. Then I thought that I might have some sort of a frog or something like that, and then eventually evolved into one leg creature. I really like the idea of these thin, pointy like legs on my creatures. It kind of makes them more balancey in a way. I don't even know how to explain that. It's like every time I'm doing the leg, I try and find a way to make sure that this creature that I'm doing has a balance. And while they have this humongous heads and humongous mouths or eyes, at the same time they're very fragile because they're just literally sitting on a point on the ground. So is it a creature that hops around, or maybe is a creature like plant that is connected to the ground, or I don't know. I like it though. I'm not sure what I'm getting these ideas from, but sometimes I'm kind of surprised by myself. It's like after a couple of them, they all tend to be the same kind of, I guess, but not quite at the same time. It's like maybe they are the same, how would you call it, species? But like humans, they come in different shapes and forms. Some are thinner, some are thicker, some are wider, some are slimmer, some are shorter, some are longer. And every one of them tends to have different facial features. Some are more pleasant, some are more scary. Yeah, I guess they do have their own personality in a way or other. Bottom line, enjoy drawing it. And again, you'll see me at some point in time using highlighters for my colors. I've been doing this for a while now, especially in one of my traveling sketches. And I have to admit, something that I did not expect, that highlighters as colors works very well, at least for my type of drawing, as long as the ink that you're using is waterproof, or if you're using rollerball pens, you allow for that ink to properly dry before using the highlighters. I noticed that depending on the highlighter you might use, or the type of highlighter, you could actually, dissolve the ink or smudge it in a weird way. With this ink seems to work okay, so that again proves how good it is as a waterproof ink. And the other thing that I noticed, it works very well with roll-up ball pens that are more on the drier side of things. But I do like highlighters in my drawings, and I think I'm gonna start using them more and more throughout my drawings, as you'll see me. In the end, fun fountain pen, definitely not for everyone because it's kind of chunky and heavy, and if you don't like that, well, you won't be able to use it properly. And for drawing, if you enjoy holding the pen a little bit higher up like I do, it might be problematic because of the weight and the grooves and patterns that it has on it, and they could be potentially painful because of the edges that you find on it. Otherwise, I like the fountain pen. It has a pretty cool design, and even though it's not a daily use fountain pen from my perspective, it's definitely a fun to use occasionally fountain pen that I have no issues recommending it. With that, I'll stop my ramblings here. Hopefully you enjoyed it, and hopefully I'll see you next week. With that said, I wish you nothing but the best and a wonderful day or night, whatever you are. Take care. Bye.